Yeah. Uh, 3 weeks
After
ago, maybe.
Sukkot?
3 weeks ago, maybe. Yeah.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
But yeah, I read like a book a day. It was great. Let's give a minute for the, for Alex to come and for stragglers because of the rain. They're a little
Totally
slow.
cool.
What?
Totally good. I'm hanging away, and you give me the go sign, and I'll go. Okay. There's nothing in there? Look on the counter and see if there's any of that grape juice.
Just go refill it.
Hey, sweetheart. We have to wait for the bar mitzvah family. Oh, they're out there. I got them on Dreams Time, and I purchased a whole bunch of them. I love them. It's a one line. That's what's fun about it. That's the bar mitzvah family. Because of the rain. Based mainly on the Garden State Park. It's built like this, flooding straight. Never go in anything other than the center when it's raining on the Garden State Parkway. Because it floods on the sides because the way the road is built. No, but I'm really tired. I passed it on to the relatives. I need you to. No, I was very sad. I didn't have capital letters. It was cool. It was cool. Was there grape juice left on there?
There's grape juice.
Okay, just totally reprinted. Not a problem at all. I just didn't want to leave it. Totally good. Sweetheart. Bye.
How many people are you
You
expecting
guys
tomorrow?
can sit in this front row.
Great. So we don't have to open the door. Yeah. We don't have to open the doors though, because that'll all fit.
Or I printed 90 copies because in case any of the regulars decide they need to come too.
So I might be in and I'm getting more water and stuff. Okay. Let me see. We'll give it another minute. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to begin on page number 24 as we join together in the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malchei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nila Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nila Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nila Shalom, Malchei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
As we move into our service formally, I just want to make a few logistical announcements before we officially begin.
Don't ask him to talk too much.
First is I've turned into a 13-year-old boy. So the prayer book that you have in front of you, hopefully everybody's gotten a chance to grab one. If you have it, you can grab them at the front. Our usher tonight is Alan Berner, our VP of Religious Living. And so if you have any issues or anything that you want to know, you can always ask him and he'll point you in the right direction. Bathrooms are outside to the right with all gender bathroom and handicap accessible bathrooms to the left into the office. If for some reason you need hearing assisted devices, you can find those in the office right to the left. And if for any reason you can't understand what we're saying, whether we're using the mic wrong or you just can't understand me tonight, you can raise your hand and we'll try to do better. In addition to that, should we need any emergency exits, of course, there's the one you walked in, but you can also find an emergency exit here and through that door to the right as well. Finally, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that you can always turn to your neighbor if for some reason you're lost, you're not sure where we are in the service, just ask them for help. That's what we're all here for. Part of being a community is being able to support one another, being able to hold and prop each other up. And so as you do that, don't be shy to figure out literally and figuratively how to be on the same page. So we're going to move now into the lighting of our candles and the blessing of our wine. We're on page 2 and 3. And Alex Pellegrino tomorrow is going to be called formally as a bar mitzvah. And so in honor of that, I'm pleased to invite him as well as his immediate family up to light our candles now.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ba'orei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim.
Kivanu v'charta, v'otanu kiddashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uratzon, hinchaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim, go take a sip.
It's just gracious, yeah. I didn't give you
No
mine this
grimace
time.
from that one.
You guys can take a seat. We're going to continue with the singing of L'chadoti, page number 20.
L'chadodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelai yidai l'chadodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelai shamor v'zohor b'dibor echad Hishme'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemul tiferet v'litchila l'chadodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelai yidai l'chadodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat likrat Shabbat lechu שמך, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לכדותי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה, ידי ידי. חדותי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Verse number 5, Hitorari.
התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורק ומיורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לכדותי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה, ידי ידי. חדותי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We rise together, verse 9.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לכדותי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה, ידי ידי. חדותי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing, page 28.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
We're seated together as we turn our attention to the screen for a creative rendition of this next prayer, Ma'ariv Aravim.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day and day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day and day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, gomel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day and day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day and day turns to night.
Top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet.
In a moment, we're going to turn to page 40 and we sing together Michamocha. As we do, we're going to pause for a second, think about what exactly we're doing in prayer in general, but in this part of our service. There are three different kinds of prayers: prayers of thanks, prayers of petition, and prayers of praise. And even the prayers that are of praise often, at least in this particular case, praise God for certain things for which we are thankful. It's hard to find the space to say the words thank you. But the truth is, there is so much for which we are thankful. And so earlier in our service, when we sang that roll into light, roll into dark, that prayer itself is meant to say thank you to God for the wonder and beauty of creation. We then move into another prayer, which is to say thank you for God for love and for the gift of receiving the Torah. And this prayer here, the Michamocha prayer, is meant to say thank you to God for freedom. And the truth is, we can often stumble through our lives blind, unacknowledging the major things for which we are thankful. Prayer, whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe anyone is listening or not, becomes a mnemonic to explore many of the most important themes for which we are thankful. So think for a second about the last time that you thought about freedom. Maybe it was today. Maybe it was in the aftermath of the election for which we were in. Maybe it's long even before that. But how often do you say to yourself, just thank you that I am free? How often do you relish in the freedoms that you have that other people may not? Prayer is meant to remind you of those things. And even as you pray for more of them, to acknowledge just how far you came. Page 40, Michamocha.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot o sefele, nora tehilot o sefele. Malichutecha קרוב עניך, בוקע לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיחזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Bottom of page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth, prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Bottom of page 44.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוני עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי מקדשי שבי שבת כולם ישבעו ויתקו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשת שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה פרשי שבת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג Shabbat.
We rise together, and after this opening meditation on page 46, we move into silence through page 62.
Adonai sifatayv tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
We close this session of private prayer with an opportunity for us to say, Oseh Shalom, make the one who makes peace in the high heavens, make peace for us, for Israel, and for all who inhabit the earth. And at the end, we say, Amen. We don't read it, we sing it. So let's sing it from the heart. Oseh Shalom Bimramav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We turn to page 253 with this opportunity for us to do together a Misha Berach, a prayer for those in need of healing. And I'll look around the room in a few moments, as well as folks online can put names in the chat if they'd like to, for those that we are offering the prayer for healing. Misha Berach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say amen. Please join me. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor Habracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say amen. Misha Berach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So this is one of the more troubling of our Torah portions from a theological point of view. And it's a portion that many of you know well, though I'm going to speak a little bit about it and pretend that we don't, just in case we've never heard the Akedah before. So God comes to Abraham, and God says to Abraham, sacrifice your son atop the mountain, atop Mount Moriah. And Abraham listens to God, and he goes up to the mountain with his son. He brings him and the wood and the fire for the burnt offering and prepares to sacrifice him atop that mountain. And as he gets to the top, his son looks at him and says, "Dad, I don't understand. We've got wood, we've got fire, but where's the sheep? Where's the lamb for the burnt offering?" And Abraham says, "God will provide the lamb, my son." So they head all the way up to the top, and Abraham ties his son up, gets ready to sacrifice his son just as God had told him to, lifts the knife above his head. And God appears, really an angel appears in God's stead, calling out, "Abraham, Abraham, do not touch, do not lay a hand on that boy." And then God blesses Abraham, saying, "Abraham, because you didn't withhold your son from me, I'm going to make you numerous. As numerous as the stars in the sky, as the sand in the sea, you and your ancestors will be blessed." And then that Abraham and Isaac part ways. Now, tomorrow, Alex is going to debrief this story, and he's going to ask this really fundamental question that many have been asking, which is, did Abraham do right by listening to God? And he has his own answer, and I'm not going to step on his answer. You'll have to come tomorrow to hear it. But I want to give an alternative answer to his, so I guess narrow it down so you know it's not this one. I was reading recently the new collection of essays by Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. If you don't know who Rabbi Sacks is, he's one of the more important of the intellectual thinkers of the 21st century. And Jonathan Sacks, who died in 2020, happened to have a whole body of work that is still being published after his death. And so I'm a reviewer for the Jewish Book Council. So I was given this book and asked to write a review of it, which is one essay per Torah portion, 54 essays, kind of charting the year all the way through. And in it, I feel like the best essay of his was actually about this week's Torah portion, asking the exact question that I just raised, which is, what's the deal with God's command to Abraham? Did Abraham win? Did Abraham pass the test or not in being prepared to sacrifice his son? And one of the things that Rabbi Sacks says is actually it's not about the outcome. Abraham passes the test not because he's ready to sacrifice his son, but instead because he's willing to live with the unknown, because he's willing to hold two truths in his hand at the same time. And he gets at it in a really fundamental and fascinating way. What you may not realize is that Abraham pined for a son for a really long time. In fact, we're told that Abraham is so incredulous that he will actually have a child when he's finally promised that child by God, that he and his wife both laugh. He can't believe it. And at the age of nearly 100, Abraham has Isaac in his life. Now, Abraham knows that he's going to eventually have Isaac, in part because as Sarah is pregnant, God promises Abraham a whole bunch of stuff, including the fact that he now is going to move from the word Avram, which means a great and mighty father, to Avraham. God changes his name to the father of many. So he realizes from that name change and from everything that God has said to him in the many, many chapters leading up to this episode on top of Mount Moriah, that God is ready to make a great nation out of him. That he's going to have children who are going to have children of their own and who are going to have children of their own. He knows that his progeny will make a real impact on this world. And God's pretty explicit in Genesis chapter 17 that that's going to come from Isaac. Now he looks at Isaac, someone, by the way, who hasn't yet met his wife Rebekah yet. He hasn't yet fallen in love. He hasn't yet had his children, Jacob and Esau. He's just this innocent guy or kid. It's not clear how old Isaac is in the story. And Abraham sees, on the one hand, a command to end his son's life, and on the other hand, a blessing that his son is going to live, his son is going to prosper, his son is going to survive. And what he navigates in the moment when he goes and takes his son up to Mount Moriah is actually an incredible dissonance He has to function. He has to live. He has to survive in the uncertainty of one hand, his son surviving because he knows God has promised that. And on the other hand, his son dying because God has commanded it. And Jonathan Sacks says that whether or not God stops him or not, how it works, that's irrelevant. It's the act of going. It's the act of existing in that uncertainty. It's the act of navigating the unknown that actually was the true test, because that ultimately is the most Jewish of acts. Think about what it means to hold multiple truths at once, to be sure of one thing and to be sure of another. I've often talked about my own conception of God, for example, and how I hold these conflicting ideas of God, and I don't know how I'm ever going to reconcile them, but I both feel that they're right. On the one hand, I've got the God that I intellectually know. This is a God that I can square away with the evil in the world, with the Holocaust. It's a God that's incredibly impersonal, that doesn't deal in our lives, that doesn't get involved in the world, a God that just is. And I can make sense of all the bad stuff that's happened if that God has no power to actually intervene. Intellectually, that God makes perfect sense to me. Emotionally, that God is dead. Emotionally, that God means nothing. Emotionally, that God can't be in the room with me, holding my hand, holding me up, propping me, making me brave at moments where I am at my lowest. I need a God who is personal, who loves me, who cares about me. And so I have to believe in that God as well, because I can't pray to the God that I intellectually believe in. I need to pray to the God that I emotionally know. And so I live in the uncertainty. I believe one thing and the other, and they cannot coexist, but yet I still walk forward as a religious individual, because that's what it means to walk forward in this world. That's what it means to believe Jewishly. To have true faith is not necessarily to believe in an outcome of which you will get to. It is to stand firm in an understanding that you have absolutely no idea what that outcome is, but yet you still are able to march. Now, I think many of us are navigating an uncertainty right now. We're holding multiple truths about any number of things. But this week at least, it's the truths about this country. It's the belief the American spirit is great. The American spirit does not fall. The American spirit does not die. The American spirit is what it needs to be. And at the same time, we're holding all the fears of what might come into the future. The way elections have been done over the past few years is brutal when elections are close, in part because we are all functioning in that uncertainty. And we have to hold multiple truths at the same time when we don't know what the outcome will be. And even when we do learn what the outcome is, whatever that outcome is, I'm sure there's going to be multiple truths that we hold at the same time. We're going to have to be open to those for which we disagree and push them away and advocate for the things for which we care about. That is an uncertainty. That is a dissonance that you have to hold. At the same time, we have to believe in hope in the future, but have enough healthy skepticism that we're not willing to walk blindly into that future without an understanding of the risks and the costs that come. That is uncertainty. That is walking with a tension and with a dissonance. One of the things about the Jewish tradition that separates it out from many other religions is that embracing of uncertainty. There are right answers in so many traditions. So many religions have a specific way forward for which you are supposed to follow. Judaism is filled much more with questions than it is with answers, which make it both enlivening and maddening at the same time. But it's okay, because there's beauty in not knowing, there's beauty in dissonance, there's beauty in confusion, there's beauty in two truths. So hold both of them firm. And just as Abraham did, the ability to navigate them will mean that you find your blessing. Shabbat shalom. We're going to rise together, page 282 for Elena.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who we've loved and who we've lost. This Shabbat, we recall the following individuals, and I'll invite you to rise as I call the name of your loved one remaining standing. This Shabbat, we recall the names Arthur Asher, Sybil Berkowitz, Leonard Blackman, Israel Brenner, Philip Busin, Clara Cherishore, George Cohen, Carmela D'Agostino, Oscar Denenberg, Benjamin Dubrow, Mayor Dunn, Morris Ellis, Harold Fixell, Rosalind Gladstone, Samuel Goodman, Sylvia Green, Bertha Green, Leo Handelsman, Dennis Charles Kauf, William Keels, Shirley Cohn, Janet Leff, Jacob Levine, Melvin Mandel, Norton Knack, Violet Nelson, Melvin Peck, Jonathan Plout, Alan Carey Plutz, Sidney Protas, William Russ, Roberta Rini Salvador, Jerome Shapiro, Eska Sklansky, Julius Skolnick, Emil Ungerleader, Ruth Ziff, and Fanny Irene Zimmern. And those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning, Mary Johnson, mother of Alan Johnson, Donald Greenwald, brother of Todd Greenwald, and Lisa Chang Kyung Yu, mother of Susan Yu. I'll also invite all of those who are in their 1 year period of mourning or who are observing a yard site that might not have been on this list to please rise and share the name of the person for whom you're thinking. We rise together, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah,
B'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimru Amen.
Yeh shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach
v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'richu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiram b'yoma v'yimru Amen.
Yeh shlama Rabbah min shemaya.
V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Please be seated. So before we move into our closing song, which you can find on the screen, a few announcements. The first is our oneg is actually going to be in our social hall tonight rather than right outside. So you can head over there as soon as we're done, grab a cookie, meet someone new. In addition to that, tomorrow morning, we've got our Torah study at 8:30 in the morning. And then our main service is at 10 o'clock as Alex becomes bar mitzvah. Congratulations to him and to his family. We got a big week, just 1 week coming up with 3 different events happening back to back to back. And so hopefully you can come to at least one, if not more. The first is not our event, but we've actually created a partnership on Tuesday with the Montclair Literary Festival. And so it's pretty great because we got some pretty big names coming because of that. So Hugh Bonneville, who is the father on Downton Abbey, he wrote a memoir, and we'll have 400 to 500 people here probably to hear him speak. And so you can find information about how to get those tickets. The way you get big name or authors is there's a whole book bundle thing where the ticket includes a signed book, and so I don't actually know if it's signed. It was the first time around, but come get a book, see Hugh Bonneville.
And even if you don't know who Hugh is, Jim Axelrod's interviewing him. Why not come for Jim Axelrod?
Yes. So on Wednesday is our first of a few different scribal sessions. So as you know, we're commissioning a Torah this year. We're fixing a Torah up in honor of Ronnie Pressman's 13th year. She's generously donated the Torah, and our community is now fixing it. And so please sign up to scribe at one of our scribing sessions, but especially the first one. We want to get a lot of people there. And so if all things being equal, you're not sure which one you want to sign up for one of the earlier ones, for either this one or December 7th, because that way it then leaves room for people later who make a later decision to end up joining. And there's
Can I toss out an idea for December 7th?
Sure.
If you want to come on December 7th, or you would like to sponsor something for someone else for a Hanukkah present, why not give them the opportunity to scribe in the Torah on December 7th, right before Hanukkah starts?
Perfect. Or you can give it to them on Hanukkah, and then they can do January,
That is true.
But think of it like a Hanukkah gift. You can give people Hanukkah gifts. So, and then on Thursday, we have our Interfaith Thanksgiving. And so we're going to join together, Brookdale Reformed Church, which is the top of the park, basically, with our Muslim and Christian counterparts. And we're going to have a little ceremony where we talk about Thanksgiving and what we're thankful for, a little bit of a nosh, and a chance to just meet people of other faiths. And that's just next week. So we've got a lot more going on for the rest of the month. Take a look at our calendar, see what else is up, and hope to see you at many other things. Oh, finally, one other thing, which I need to, I guess the week is a little more than the week. On the 20th, we've got two events also happening. The first is it's our annual turkey ride, which we are part of. What that means, and I'm going to be doing the ride, is that it's like a 15-mile bike ride, of which the first 12 miles of the bike ride ends you up at supermarket at ShopRite. You then buy a turkey, and you have the option to bike with it on your back or to put it on a van to Human Needs Food Pantry. They get hundreds of turkeys that way. And so we always have a team as part of this bigger Montclair thing. And then you can come back to the synagogue because we're having our holiday bazaar. And so we've got a lot of amazing artists and people selling lots and lots of wares, and you can pick up a gift for people. It's always wonderful. And this year, I'm especially impressed with the list of vendors that our preschool, our Shorish community got to come. Are you one of the vendors? I forget.
No, I am not this year.
Oh,
I don't have time.
Okay.
But if they talk me into it, I'm sure I could bring some.
Oh, okay. So with that, we're going to close Biado.
You'll look up on the screen for the words. There they are. Biado av kiruchi, v'et ishan v'ayira, v'imruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira. Adonai li v'lo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.